My throat's gonna get all like, hey, okay, it didn't. Hey there, Facebook. Hey there, friends. Because it's not just Facebook here. It's me, Stacy, and I'm super excited to start this series with you, which on Saturdays, we're going to be doing a little series for this summer called Mom Talk. And this is where I interview some of my mama friends on some of the topics that are commonly asked to me. And the reason behind that is if you follow my stories, you've seen me do a mom group at my church. And often times there are new moms that come in, and because they're obviously looking for a mom group, right? They need mama friends. We all do. And when they come in, they have these questions, but they're not comfortable yet enough with us to kind of discuss it or whatever. That, believe me, we quickly break that barrier. But it's just, this whole idea came from that, and allowing my mom friends online who may not have a mom circle to be able to tap into my mom friends that I am truly blessed to have. And today I'm going to have a special guest of my mama friends. I do want to put a little disclaimer out there because of the subject that it is, which is mom stuff. Why I have to do this, I don't know, but I'm protecting my mama friends, because you can throw it at me, but I have the power to bless and block. So basically, you know what's best for your kids, you know what's best for your family, and what we're sharing in these little mom talks is what we do, our opinions. It doesn't mean it is set in stone. It doesn't mean it is right. You are more than welcome to share your thoughts and insight in the chat or in the comments. And because I love knowing the different sides. I want to see the different sides, because we only know what we know until we know something new, right? And that's kind of the point of these mom talks. I want to see how she does it. I want to, back and forth. But with that said, we can agree to disagree. We don't have to get ugly. And if we do, I will block. That's just the fun. It's my page, right? So keep that in mind. And I guess we'll just go with it. So my guest today is one of my good friends named Kristen Evans. She is a boy mom to two amazing boys. I love her kids. And today we are going to be chatting about how to have hard conversations with kids. And so I'm going to see if I can pop her on. I don't know if she can pop on. We're new to this. I figure, like, what is this? Let's see if I can get her on real quick. I did meet her in PTO when my son was in PTO, because I know I homeschool him now. Hold on. I'm going to tell her, click it and see what happens. I don't know. I'm new to this Facebook room thingy. We'll see what happens and see if she can hop on. But yeah, I met her in PTO maybe 2-3 years ago, and then we've just been chatting. She's on a health journey all on her own, a journey to better, and it's been really awesome to tap into that, to see how she's doing, just doing mom life together. So let's see if I can get her on, guys. Let's see what happens. One moment, please, because we are new to it. Yay! I see you. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
We did it.
I was like,
can you hear me?
But you're not moving. Too funny. That's too funny. Okay, so can you hear me?
Right?
Awesome.
Yes.
Okay. So this is my mama friend, Kristen. I told him a little bit about you, but I don't know if you want to tell, if there's anything you want to share about you, just because my page may be new to you. So to give them any type of background that you want to share, go for it.
Well, I mean, I don't know what you've shared. I've got 2 little boys.
I shared
4,
that.
well, almost 5. He'll be 5 in August.
I know.
And then Wyatt, who is 8, he's special needs. And he'll be 9 in December. So we're talking about next year going into kindergarten and 3rd grade. Like, yikes. But
I know.
Other than that, I'm a mama like you.
Yes,
we just kind of,
I know that.
go with the flow.
Yes. And you do work from home. You have your, what is it? Mama's Crafty Creations.
Yes,
Right?
my t-shirt. Well, I say t-shirts. Yes, I say t-shirts. I dabble in. Well, I've done stuff for you. I mean, I
I know,
do
you're awesome.
a little bit of everything. So,
Uh, okay, so we'll go ahead and get into it. So I didn't really know, because it's a broad, when I think of it, it's kind of broad on how to talk to our kids, because mine range from 4 to 19. So I've got so since you have little ones, I think we'll kind of bring it down to our littles, because our littles are pretty much the same age. They're about a year apart. And so we can go from
yes.
there, because I would definitely talk to my teens different than I talk to my littles. And even then, my
Of course.
4-year-old and 9-year-old, they're different thought processes. So it's definitely different with each kid. So
Yes.
how would you go about it? We'll go from there, and then I'll spot you with some questions.
Well, as you know, my 8-year-old has special needs. So what special needs means for us is, yes, we're 8, but cognitively we're in some areas a little bit younger than that. So for us, we kind of took the route of being as honest as we could, but knowing, knowing kind of the right words to use. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's
Like,
big.
take for instance, well, yeah, we wanted to be as honest because I don't know about you, but I don't know if your kids are literal, but Wyatt has gotten real lately about being, well, you didn't tell me exactly to say that. And I'm like, okay, we're gonna take the literal route now. Okay.
Yeah,
This is
Xander's like that
this is
with
what
his
this is what
dyslexia.
about being literal about everything. Yes.
Oh yeah,
You're not
like
the
if
only
I
one.
say it's raining cats and dogs, he's gonna go outside and be like, I don't see the cats and dogs. Like, because just dyslexia alone, they don't
Exactly.
get those analogies. Yes, and it'll be like, well, what does that mean? Or if I say like, shoot me a message, and he'd be like, why do you want someone to shoot you? Stuff like that. So I have to be very particular about the words I use with
Careful.
him.
Yes. But and that's like my 4-year-old who's entirely too smart for his own good at 4. Like, I don't know how many 4-year-olds can tell you all the names of the dinosaurs and say them correctly, and you're just like, where is this coming from?
I
But
didn't teach you that.
I think that was my thought. Everybody's looking at me going, you put him in pre-K, and I'm like, no, pre-K didn't teach him that. But
Too funny.
I mean, I guess we need to kind of narrow it down to what kind of hard topic are we talking about? Because when you and I,
That is true.
we started talking about this, and I'm like, I'm going through and I did the whole scroll through Pinterest, see what I can find on Pinterest, and I'm like, there's how to have a hard topic, how to have a hard conversation with your kids about dealing with death, dealing with tragedy, somebody sick in the home, or somebody, there's topics about that. But then you're like, in the recent events that have happened, there's nothing. There's nothing on the internet to tell you how to have this conversation with your kids. And I'm like going, we need to change that. Because I don't know about you, but I know you homeschool your little. No, you homeschool both, right?
For now, but going in this year, Isabella will be pre-K. So that was kind of, I felt you on that when you said, like, I'm sending my kids back to school. And I was like, well, normally that wouldn't affect me, but I am sending one to school, even if the other one stays.
and I know it normally going saying those words that I'm sending my kids back to school, I would be like, yes, summer is done, we have a routine now. And now I'm just kind of like,
You second guess
what
it.
do I
Yeah.
want to do? I mean, because I can't, I don't know if you did this, but when I heard about the tragedy that happened in Uvalde, I pulled up my phone and I went to Google Maps and I said, just generally Uvalde, Texas, and I go,
How far?
that's 4 hours away from me. How far is that away from me? And I said, 4 hours, it's too close to home.
Mhm.
Like, and I know you've volunteered at the schools in the past, like doing PTO and stuff. So I mean, I've gotten into that, and I'm like, okay, I know kind of what the protocol is at school and stuff, and like they don't just let anybody in them schools.
No.
But it's still kind of like, I'm sending my third grader and I'm sending my kindergartner to the same school this year, and it's like, I got a little bit of nervousness going on, because it's like, how do you sit down with both of them and tell them that this is what they're going to be preparing to do for next year?
And I think that is,
and I'm like,
truly like something I would say I wouldn't want to talk about it, because one of the things I have when it comes to talking to my kids is figuring out, do they need to know? So like in Xander's case, he's not going to school. We will tell him a general idea, but not the specific. Well, we wouldn't tell him the specifics anyways, but we would talk to him in a certain way. But having worked in the school, because even before we moved up here, I did work with kindergartners. And one of the scariest times in my life is when we had to practice one of those. It was an intruder with a weapon, is what the drill was called. And it happened after the school in Pennsylvania, I think Sandy Hooks. I think it was right after that. So just knowing that we had to prepare those kids then because of after that, I do feel you on that when they go back, that is probably something they are going to emphasize, because they want the kids to be prepared. Because it wasn't a drill that we did as often as like a fire drill or tornado drills or anything like that. It was just, we did it because we wanted to make sure we had a plan in place. And even practicing, I was like, I hope I never have to use this. And not gonna lie, after that I got out of the district, because I was just like, no more, I can't, it's a lot.
You were like, wait a second, and my it's, I don't know how much news you watch at home or whatever, but I mean, nowadays you can just pull up a video or whatever, and it's like, I don't want to watch. But then it's like, okay, one of the news stories that I had caught just scrolling through, was a parent who was looking for their kid and they didn't know which way to go and what to do, and I just was like, wow. And Wyatt comes and he's like, what's wrong, Mom? Well, I said, we were sitting there and he's like, what's wrong? Because I know something's wrong. And I'm like, yeah. I said, well, somebody decided to go into a school with a weapon. And he goes, you mean a gun? Yeah, I mean a gun. And he decided he didn't want to do some very good things. And he's sitting there and he's like, you can see the wheels turning in his head.
Yeah.
And he goes, he was bad. And then that's what trickled all of the questions. He was bad. Well, how did that happen? Well, he found a way into the school. And I'm just like going, okay, I have to be very careful with my words, about what, well, did anything happen? Yeah, some kids didn't go home to their mommies and daddies. Well, they're really sad now. Yeah, they are. They're very sad. And he's just like, okay, well, we're cool. And I'm like, well, what are you going to do in a situation like that? Well, I'm going to listen to my teachers. Okay. I'm like, yeah. I said, because you have to be calm, huh? Yeah, but lots of kids aren't very calm sometimes. And I'm like, well, but you need to worry about you, right? He's, yeah, definitely. Okay. And that was our conversation,
I think that was good.
And, huh? And, oh yeah, he was good. He was good. He's like, okay. He's like, bye, see you later. And I'm like, okay, go play, Yeah. And it's like, and of course, we'll probably have that conversation again before he goes back to school because, it's because it's more than likely I look for them to start doing drills like that, kind of like they do a fire drill. I mean, that's just kind of, it's sad, yes. And I feel like it's not something that we should have to become accustomed to, but in the back of our head, it's like, okay, that is something that we need to be accustomed with, And I mean, I would love to homeschool, but I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I could not.
It ain't easy.
I wouldn't. Just know it. It is not. And I started doing the volunteer stuff. Why did I start doing the volunteer stuff? Because when COVID happened and we didn't know what the next year was going to look like, and I was sitting in on a PTO meeting and it was like, we don't know what next year's going to look like. Do you want to become a part of the board? Because board members would be able to be allowed into the school. Well, heck yeah.
Oh.
Because I don't know about you, but I like being able to, I go and peek in on my kid and I'm like, okay, we're good,
Yeah.
That was what started me doing. Oh, are you going to say hi? This is my 8-year-old. This is my big kid, huh? You say hi, Stacy? She's right here. You say hi, Stacy.
Hi.
All right, go play. But
I'm watching the movie.
Okay. Mom life, right?
Mom life.
Definitely. But it's just, and I don't have all the answers. I can tell you I don't, but I can tell you that the feeling of being nervous about next year, about not knowing, and there's the husband, about being unsure about what you're going to do, it's normal. That's the best I can say,
And that's kind of why I started this, because like I said, when I opened, we don't know what's right or wrong, and there really is no true right or wrong way to go about just being a mom and doing something like these hard conversations. And so we have, like, I truly feel blessed to have mom friends that I can reach into and be like, hey, what are you doing? What, and we just kind of converse and kind of get an idea, and you'll start to hear those little things that start to, like, that we're all doing. And it may not be specifically the same, but we're all doing it. Because just like you said, we don't watch the news here. And so the kids could tell something was off because I was like, the way I say it is, my piece is, I don't have my piece. Somebody's shaking my piece is the way I tell the kids. And it doesn't mean I'm mad or sad. It's just right. I'm unsettled. And I didn't talk about it for the longest time because, again, we don't watch the news here. And really, the only reason I know is because it popped up on Facebook. I'm like, if it's big enough, it will pop off on Facebook, and it popped everywhere. And as soon as seeing the first one, I went and did the same thing. How far is, because all you have to say is Texas. And I'm like, okay, that's that's home. Like it, we're big, but it's Texas is Texas. It's to me. And it was kind of like, well, what happened? And then it really started to hit home because it was my son's age. It would have been the grade that he was in. And then having worked in a school, I'm kind of trying to think like, no, this should have been in place. How did this happen? Like there was too many things that happened that, in all honesty, in my opinion, shouldn't have happened. It was like a door opened and he went for it. And I was just like, so in that moment, I took the time, like I had to prepare myself. I had to find my peace again before I even brought it up to my kids. And when it came to looking at my kids, the only one that was my main concern was my high schooler, because he's the only one that's in school right now. So he's the one that I kind of spoke to it about. And we did it calmly. And with him, he's the type of, it's not like, let's sit down and talk about this, but it's kind of just like in our general passing. So I would be taking him to school and I'd be like, well, did you hear what happened at the school in Texas? No, he didn't, because we're not on the, and so it was kind of like first trying to find out what he knew and then going from there. So it's like I didn't have to give him all the gruesome details, but I was like, so, but mentally in my head, as the teacher versus mom kind of thing, I was preparing him for what could possibly happen at his school, because you'll see it on the news. They say it's kind of like a copycat thing, and it's like, so you got to be prepared for this. Do you know where to go? Do you know what to do? Because yes, the teachers and everyone has something in place, but again, that teacher, hi, I had 32 little ones, and they are quick, and so to protect 32 little ones was very hard. And I'm like, but if my little ones knew what to do, then I was a step ahead. If I knew, I could just say a word and they knew what to do and stuff like that. So it was kind of putting that with him. Definitely, like you said, being honest, but only sticking to what he needed to know, not going into like the details and all this other stuff. And like with my teen, I keep it short. But with all my kids, I keep it short. I don't want to drag it on, because then it becomes like like, why are we talking about this? But definitely ended it with telling him, like, I know you, I've raised you, I trust you. It's the world that we're against at this point. So I just need to know that you know. Exactly. And it was, that's kind of how our conversation went with him, because he's the only one that I was like, what do I do? And I really like how you brought up like how you were working with the PTO, because that was one thing that even as a teacher would tell them, like, if you want to know what's happening in the school, you have to be involved somehow. You have to know, like, and I know this is a trigger that most people probably don't work with, but being a domestic violence survivor, I needed to know my layout. So I would help at the schools because I wanted to know where the exits were. I wanted to know what I could get. Like, that's just in my head, having been through that season of my life. So when I do visit my kids' schools, I look for, like, well, what is that room? And I'll have questions because I'm not always there. But when they start to talk to me, I will know where they are, kind of thing.
Exactly. And that's like, I can tell you, walking into this walking into the school, and I can tell you that the side doors are locked. I can tell you that when you walk into the office, those doors are locked. You're not going to get in. You can walk in the building once you get through the office and you have your badge, but hitting the handle on a door of a classroom, they're locked. And it's like, okay, I know those things, but I'm like, hold on. As many times, because I've sat up there and, helped out with, like, getting kids back to class because, second and third graders want to dawdle in between classes and go to the bathroom and play and whatever. And Definitely. I'm like, guys, get your business handled, get back to class, and I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I'm like, kid comes back to class, kid opens the door, kid goes in, and that's how somebody gets in. And I'm like, but there's nothing that you can really, there's nothing you can do to curb that. It's a fact of life. That's what happens.
Yeah.
you know, but it's like, what could be done better, you know?
Oh, always. There's always something that can be done better.
Exactly.
Anything else?
No, but you know, it's just it's I don't know, I guess looking for other people's ideas in order to say, you know what, it's gonna be okay. I know it's gonna be okay, but it's that nervousness of first day going back, this has happened in another town, and it's gonna be on everybody's mind.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially the school, because when you have that many parents that are gonna have questions, and I highly do encourage parents to ask questions, because if you're not going to be in the school, you need to know what the protocol is. Because like I know the high school had sent an email, which I am so glad they did, because all the doors are locked, so kids would be propping the doors open so their friends that were late could get in. And they were like, no, if you see a prop door open, it needs to be closed. If you are the one propping the doors open, and this was before all this happened. So that's what I'm saying. I'm very grateful that someone brought that up and someone pointed it out, because that's kind of the reason why what happened. There was a door, there was a way for him to get in. And so it's things like that. It truly does, in my opinion, take a village. And that's why I think it's very like one of my goals is to get to know like where Isabel is going is it's a new campus. So I don't know the layout yet. I don't know the teachers there, all this kind of thing, but just being in the know. And again, you only know what you know. And the more knowledge you have, you're able to work from there to kind of help your kids, especially the little ones, because they don't see it, the grand scheme, as much as we may have some insight to it. And then they also have an insight that we may never even know about. So
Yeah, no, my little one, he can tell you. It's funny because we did this whole pre-K thing this year, and he's always coming home and he's always, you be respectful, you be confident, you be because bees were the theme this year for their pre-K school. It was bees. Everything was be respectful, be courteous, be something else. And there's all these little things, and he's coming home and he's reciting that every day, because that's what they do, is they recite their school. It's like their school motto or something to that. They call it something else, but it's like their school motto, you know? And I'm like, okay. I'm like, I know he's a really smart kid. And he's like, you're always supposed to listen to your teacher. And when she says to be quiet, you be quiet. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, okay. Like I don't have to worry about you so much, but still I do.
You know? Got this.
Because it's not. Yes. He's like, I'm good. I'm like, yeah, I know. It's scary.
I do know.
Did I tell you?
I don't know. Did you? Tell me.
I'm putting together a book, because I was after all of this happened. Yes, after all of this happened, I thought about everything that nobody ever told me before I became a mom. The things about your kid's going to jump off of the bunk beds and he's going to hurt himself, and it's okay that you've told him 1,000 times. You know, the first time he runs into a pole, I told you about that, when Wyatt ran into the pole and we got 6 stitches in our forehead. You know, it you know, the daily happenings of,
especially with boys.
It's actually got yes, I was graced in that. But now that my little sister is pregnant and she's going to have a little girl, and I'm like, oh, thank God. Aww. He gave me boys. Yes. That'll be that'll be out sometime, hopefully December, January on Amazon.
I'm excited
hopefully.
to see that. Yeah, that's cool because even just the little things like that to reassure you, because it's one of those things that, like, what did I see? I saw a TikTok the other day and it was saying how moms just in general are expected to have this like oversight of the whole house or to take care of littles and to cook and clean, like just the mental overload that you have. And it's like, well, it's not supposed to be that way, but nobody tells you it's not supposed to be that way, and nobody really talks about it because then you're complaining or you're ungrateful, and that's that whole mom shaming thing coming in. And so it's like, no. And that's why I really like, having the moms and be like, well, if that is the case, let's try it this way. We can break it up this way. And it was one of my moms when I started homeschooling, and I was telling her I'm just failing and that I haven't done this, and she was like, who told you that? And I was like, well, I'm just thinking it. And
Nobody?
She goes, no, that was demon Satan. I'm not accepting that because you are doing just fine. And it was that little thing that it was just like, okay, like it was very reassuring just to know that yes, we were like fumbling, but it's okay because we're on our own little journey and we're gonna work through it. And so I'm excited to see that, friend. So proud of you.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes, I'm excited. I haven't really. Oh, that's the first time that I've put it out there. Oh, that I'm doing that. I haven't really. I've been doing all of the back stuff, trying to get everything together and getting it published and all of that. And I'm like, ooh, it's a real deal. It's a real thing.
Just made it
But
Facebook official.
I put it. Yes, I put it, well, because I thought about it. I was sitting there, and my mom's like, you should write a book. And I'm like, me? Why? I'm like, and then I'm like, I sat there and I thought about it, and I'm like, wait a second. I've dealt with cerebral palsy. That's what my son has. And we just recently got diagnosed with motor apraxia. And there's no magic book into they go when you have a kid at the hospital, you have a baby at the hospital, they wrap them up and everything and make sure you're all good, and then they go, here you go. Exactly. And it's like, what am I supposed to do? Who do I ask? What and I was like, okay, I can do this. So, I'm excited.
Yay. I'm
excited when you told me that you wanted to do this, and I was like, oh, heck yes. And I'm like, there's so many topics I could talk about, like medical stuff and just special needs in general, and just, like, those are all conversations that people need to have,
Yes. And I think it's good. And like I said, I'm trying this out for the summer to see what comes of it. But definitely, I don't mind having you back. And it's my page, so they just got to deal with us.
Right? Mom time. That's what we'll call it. We'll base it on mom time. It's recorded. That way you can catch it later when they're asleep at 10 o'clock at night. Post your questions so we know.
Exactly. It's too fun. Well, it definitely has been fun chatting with you. I don't want to take up too much of your time, and it's a little too quiet in my house for comfort right now. So I do want to thank you
I was just
for
fixing
sharing with us. All right. Nobody's busted through my door. Nobody. I'm like, Jesus, what's going on? So, but yeah, thank you so much for doing this. And I would love to have you again. I can't wait to read your book, to check it out. I don't know. Do you have any final things you want to say before we hop off?
I don't have all the answers. I don't. But you know what? I am a person to say, hey, you know what? I bet I got somebody who does know the answer.
Yes. That's a good one. That is
And
good
that's
because that's one of those things
that's
I
how
always
we'll-
I don't know, but I know a mama that does know.
that right there. I may not have the answer, but I know I got a mama who does.
Yes. Yay! Well, I'm so excited, friends. So I guess we'll go ahead and leave it there. If anyone has questions, you can definitely drop it in the comments. And Kristen, you're more than welcome to reply and answer what we can. Any questions that you feel we should do next time, and if you're a mama that wants to talk and hop on with me, definitely send me a message because I am willing to use my platform. I feel there's so much power in our stories. Like you mentioned, you have a story of your own, and even though our stories just seem small to us, it could have a huge ripple effect. And that's kind of my goal with this little thing here. It's going to start small and it's going to go big because I can feel it. So anywho, thanks for joining us, guys. I love you. I appreciate you. And we will see you the next time I go live. Bye, Miss Kristen. Thank you.
You're welcome.